Hi, I'm doing the usual caregiver job. You see, what they're saying is, in the intel communities around the world, is that if you have a phenomenon that you still hate and that you lost swaths of intel on the coastlines, they can bring back a mask, a potato nose, okay? So if a leader, whether she's Saudi or Turk or Russian or a mix thereof, Russian Arab, breaks space, and there's new math buildings in Massachusetts and DC that are empty. That's what they call the grays and blacks. I know you want to deny. The first thing that comes to mind is Falun Gong on the coastlines. Because Jamila, the original girl, was on the coastlines. There is something in me of her. Something like the Bochron element is not related to the McVariant element. There's a cut after you smashed her head on the coastlines. And a byproduct is pink and blues. Considering you're not intelligent enough to understand that a smashed-in head does not bring back blues as Ubermensch, it only happened very few times in history. I'm an example of that. The problem with the non-intel people is that you're quick to judge. So in 80 countries, when I connected the dots worldwide to globals, they were saying there were losses of intel on the coastlines. It's not patriotic. And between the pink of Kansas and oranges of Poland and the brother of the mother, who is a head of sciences at Warsaw University, who is 96 years old, who says that's old news on the news, darling, gone with the wind. You come from the grays and blacks. That's the new shit. Now, considering there was a ship, the yacht, the bob, the bridges shot up around the world, there's a cause célèbre going on with me alone. So when you send psychopaths after me, who followed me everywhere like Heine, I'm sorry, if you're a federal prisoner from San Quentin who lived in Fresno and you're Hell's Angels, you can follow me everywhere. You can even follow me to London and Poland. But you're criminals, you see. I don't mind even having sex with you. I will not force it after some time. From when I had my head smashed in from crab to crabby, I don't even call it rape. I don't call psychopaths stalking me rape. Even if they're federal prisoners from San Quentin who lived in Fresno. You are my extras. Not me, your extra. You are my extras. Because you will not change the coastlines. You will not change what was lost on the coastlines gone with the wind. You're not patriotic. And while your college students sit there and clap because you hate what you hear, well, really sorry, Disneyland figured it out long ago. And if I can figure it out, connected those were wise to globals long ago. Just about everyone on the planet heard of this shit. Why? Because you usually don't do the smashed in head on the coastlines and get away with it. That's what we call make it count, the losses. Because they're also corporations. So when they brought back this one, they knew that she was going to be attacked. They knew you would send your friff-raff and all your shit. They expected that to Dr. Parrots. Dr. Parrot thought that I needed a guardian because she said, you will kill me for fun. Schadenfreude Jr. And it's funny because even Heine is Jewish. You know, when you speak about Hell's Angels, you think about Nazis. Why is he Jewish? Patricia Vella is Jewish. She killed her mother. That's not her name. Mike Langley is not his name. He's a 19-year-old who was in San Quentin federal prison. These are people from Fresno who came to the HUD of the Dolores shelter when I came back. So when I was trekking, I immediately left. You can follow me. But if you follow me to London and Poland, you'll end up like Grabski. Grabski, who is an Ukrainian Jew, he's not even Polish, he killed 2 Polish, ended up, and from Przemysl, I don't care if he has links to Hell's Angels or whoever he is, you are just psychos. He suicided 25 times in front of the University of Greenwich Mean Time, 26 in front of me. After 4 years of trekkings, I was a little tired because I had been to Moscow 5 times. I had been to DC for 3 months and New York as always. You know, connected dots for West to Globals was my own shit on those lines. For the Barons, I did the usual. Before it was all the flyings beyond the library. Then it was all the runnings, aboves and beyonds, and some beyonds behind the library. And then I get hit on the head on this side of the library. And there's the, behind the library, some steps that go down above and behind, go down to the side, to the back of the library. And that for the mother, they actually got her out to Poland. And there was the rule of law with Natalie direct. with whom I grew up with from Brussels. Those are two Supreme Courts of Laura Quintas and Nelly Direct, defending both parents. So if Fresno's heightened intelligence is venting shit even for the parents, come on. It's one thing bullshitting Disneyland, getting out of dangerous situation, Disneyland, on her crab to crab eat. Another thing, is something else. Masks, not masks, and, stand-in children. I realize you don't like the radio that was invented 250 years ago after the coastlines, a particular corn crop, but still, my goodness. You don't have to send your psychos from prison and then have people cheerleading for that shit. I don't know, come on. It's not going to change the coastlines for Gone with the Wind. It ain't going to change the hanging benches of Laura Quintas. And why they say that? They say that because they know the US is getting the rap for this. Because it's getting the rap for the losses on the coastlines of what we call this Bell shit going on. That's all news on the news with the corporations. And I'm the stand-in for that girl and the others on the coastlines. And that's the sciences. Sure, there was multitasking, and then, what's this? Multitasking. I cannot, and in Rome there's the Scotland film, there's Radio Global, because there's no losses by now to stay out. And that was the sad part about the US, was you didn't care when you had it, the intelligence of that girl. Then when you lost it, you started saying, oh my goodness, and you were trying to find excuses for it. Really, you're not perfect. And no amount of money will reopen pink, grays, or blacks. You can't do even the pink cancer and oranges of Poland. The brother of the mother himself, that Polish intel doesn't have grays and blacks that I used to do sciences in Cairo, in Egypt. He said, this is cheap, man. You're grays and blacks from Saudi Mir. So I looked at them. I said, why you the threshold after what the fuck happened on the coastlines of that girl? With a smashed-in head and a Disney replacement. And you speak to me about, crab to crab eat. And yes, there's something behind that girl. Yes, they managed to do the unthinkable, the genetics, because she was a phenomenon. This is, even Falun Gong in China, your friends, your enemies, if they see that on the coastlines, if they know about Gone with the Wind, they'll think you're nuts. Especially with the psychos. Especially if you know who that girl was. That's not how it works in the real worlds of intel. There's reasoning behind shit. That was the sciences. Even the coastlines knows that girl, when she was killed, there was a loss, another ship to yacht, and bridges were shot up. Intelligence is intelligence. They're not going to be sitting down looking at these big guys with white hairs. They're looking at the pink, they're looking at the grays, they're looking at the blacks, looking at the intel that's lost on the coastlines. They're looking at the guys left with a ghost town on the coastlines of sciences, where the work was of that girl. They're not looking at your fucking excuses in Fresno and your psycho bitches and college kids beating their drums on Disneyland. They think you're nuts. That's why the Dr. Parrots has extra paperwork other than Dirk-Jan van Dam with the Hague and the Bureau de Veritas with the original intel. Connect the dots worldwide to globals. That's why Dr. Parrots is having a field day with your asses for the federal government in Europe. The Italian Federal Tribunal, Roman Tribunal, Dr. Parrots. And it's not just Europe. It's New York and other renowned hospitals who are just saying that this is mentally sick. What they're doing to Disneyland. You are the bad guys. And you're having fun while you're doing it, Sheldon Ford Jr., because if you're clapping your chest to do it, you're losing. And if you're sending them from Fresno, because you have delayed response, and you're inventing shit in Fresno, no one's buying that shit in Fresno. Especially not for the parents. So, and they're there on retirement. So you're terrorists. You're literally terrorists in your own country. In New York, it's cancer and oranges, buildings that are empty. In D.C., Langley, and Massachusetts, and New England, it's mathematics and space tech. And the same in California. That girl had her head smashed in on the coastlines. That was new shit. And it would have come in handy during wars. Instead, now you have the usual. So when they say peace, what the fuck did they mean? A shit on the coastline. A share down la merda. That's old news on the news, Gone with the Wind. When they say to Disneyland, connect the dots worldwide to globals, they meant it for herself. Because the other rental is looking at this shit and saying, man, they lost all that shit on the Gus lines, shipped a yacht to Bridges. The guy's left with her, whether they have big heads or plum heads or whatever. The intel was lost. The corporations moved their asses, even pink shit of cancer and oranges, from Poland and Egypt. And you're speaking to me about Saudi and Russia. Greys and blacks. Fuck you. Western Europe went like this. The Germans are speaking about a space phenomenon. They're looking at the baby going, me, and they're like laughing at you fucking assholes, saying, that's not even fucking patriotic. They're even sending psychos after, what is this? Hotel California. It's already happened, Hotel California. But they're doing it to Disneyland. You're retards. And I'm the trained poodle in the house. You fuckers. Parents are born in pioneer camps beyond the capital cities. They're not born in capital cities like me. They're not born in the Claras, those squads. They're born in pioneer camps beyond the capital cities. They're pioneer champions at the age of 5. By 10, 13, they're already in the Olympics and world championships in sports, hobbies. And then they get hired as D1s, directorates, OSRO, TCOR, USAID. That's humanitarian jobs. OSRO is mostly natural disaster relief. They did some Hutsis and Tutsis. They went to Iraq twice or 3 times. They were mostly in Africa. They were mostly in Asia. They were mostly in South America. What are you, inventing shit? You're not only Schadenfreude Jr., you're sick, Fresno. And the fact that there's the Scott Glenn film, the fact that there's Radio Globo, the fact that Lara Quintus and Ladley Direct have hanging benches defending both parents in the Supreme Courts tells me that you're a fucking joke. Because after all those flyings and all those runnings, and then you're sitting down watching and, Disneyland, get Disneyland, hurt Disneyland. Sorry, that's not how Intel works. That's not how Intel works. Not that kind. Or beyond that darkness. That's not how it works. Do something in your own fucking lives rather than have all these beautiful houses. Empty buildings when you're dead with your head smashed in on the ghost lines and come back as Disneyland, connected dots with West Global, something that you tried to erase, that you knew you couldn't erase. And then blame everybody else for it. I don't have pretenses, but you have some major pretenses, US. You've been begging for that intel from the Russians. You've been begging for that intel from the Chinese. What the fuck did you do to it on the coastlines? And then you complained that the corporations moved with that girl? That those groups who were with her, pink, grays, and blacks, she was the one. She was the leader. That's why those guys with the corporations are with her in the metros. Even if she's dead, and I'm a replacement child. Disney. That's why they did genetics. Because they could. They could save something because they knew her beforehand around the world. So, get your college degrees, pay. I had free education. Why I went to high school with president's kids? I'll tell you why. Because when I died, there was something missing in the inter communities at La Sapienza, knowledge. Something called space stack. And when I came back like this, I had to put up with all those pains around the world, just for myself. And while you're sitting there unpacking yourself and speaking to me about what a female is, I'll tell you what a female is. You bitches. You Western bitches. You're in the whore division. You clapping at my suffering. You're clapping at Disneyland's suffering. You're not human even. You're animals. So when they say Carlo Verdone, culo d'Or is the zoo, that's what you fucking are. And keep dreaming of that shit on the ghost lines. The void is staying. The prophetic void is old news on the news, gone with the wind. Even the pink shit in the corporations. Because Poland and Egypt, with the cancer and their oranges, ain't gonna reopen that shit. And those corporations in Western Europe, whether they're in England or Martin Snowden or Italy or the UN or Germany or wherever, won't reopen. The blacks and the greys came from Russia and Saudi Arabian mayor. That's old news. You don't like hearing it? You hate Disneyland? I just pulled a little thingy on you that was you're so bad inside. You're not perfect on the coastlines? That you lost that shit? You think you're patriots? By sending your psychos to Disneyland. What about Fresno for the Barons? And then they say that I'm freaking out like a Tasmanian devil around the capital cities. Well, the fuck wouldn't I? On a crab, it was a little bit less freaking out. I said that I was still in pain and sort of freaking out. On the crabby part, forget it. That was just complete Tasmanian devil. And while you're sitting there and saying to me, suicide, no suicide, suicide yourselves. Suicide yourselves. Suicide yourselves. Make money. I don't give a shit what you do. But the intelligence communities of this world were not born yesterday. Especially that kind. If you can call it a kind. And stop speaking about types by now and crabby. It's too much. So when they say stay in Rome for retirements, they meant it. Okay. When there was the Scotland film, when there's Radio Global, they're not saying it like to offend your sensibilities and your tits and ass and your PhDs. They're just saying that shit died on the bus lines. No, Gone with the Wind, no sacrifice to stay in Rome by now. I don't know how many times I can say this on my Crap to Crab Beard in this format. And there's other formats of that girl, but it's not the same girl. She's a different girl, another girl completely. Or boys. And if the relics and Stupid Times byproducts of a girl who had her head smashed in on the bus lines and Stupid Times, limits to growth, are ubermensch in 80 countries, you want to stick in one country for the US, and that shit has empty buildings around the world because she's dead on the bus lines, then you fucked US on the bus lines. And the CIA knows that. And the CIA fell with that girl, and the CIA has platinum hairs with that girl, and the CIA knows about those corporations, and they know about the intelligence. And they know about the metros. And they know about those guys who were with her when she was flying and runnings and doing her shit on the ghost lines. So next time you think about smashing somebody's head on the ghost lines, a girl like that, think again. You're not being patriotic. You're just being assholes. And you don't want to think for a split second. You want to get offended. The first reaction is an offense. That tells me you're retarded. Either you're stupid or you're retarded. And if you send your cycles, that's for sure you're fucking retarded. So have your fun. Disneyland is just gonna watch it. Sit, watch your shit. Do other things. Do connect the dots with Wise to Globals for herself. Deal with your fucking extras. You don't scare me, because I know they're gonna bump you off or remove you. You're federal prisoners. You have nothing to do with me. And you obviously have nothing to do with the parents. Zero. Even less than zero. So you are going to be the ones, and no one is going to bring you back. Keep dreaming. Not in pink or blues. No one's going to bother to do that for you. You know why? Because you're worthless. You're not that intel. You don't come from that intel. You didn't die on the coastlines with your head smashed in like that girl. And I'm her replacement. So fuck off. Do a favor to society before it blows out. And I only have 147 to 221. I'm a timed baby. I'm a timed Disney replacement for the intel communities after what happened on the ghost lines. And there was multitasking, yes, with the parents on retirements at Fresno. You claim that you're the most advanced nation. You're not. From the behaviors in California, you're not. I have nice houses. Who cares? There's over 200 countries on this planet, and they have villas, and they have mansions, and it doesn't mean shit. Diddly squat to have a limousine. Goodbye, Delft. Literally from Holland, wormhole to worm, from Disneyland. If you couldn't understand this by now from Disneyland, I can't help you that many times, US. Scotland Film and Radio Global. Cut your losses. Because Fresno, there's no losses to have done something in Fresno from the very beginning. The intel of Fresno. You're joking. And that shit on the ghost lines that you lost, you're still paying for it with the corporations and others, because that intel brought back Disneyland to show to you what the fuck was missing in the intel communities after that shit on the ghost lines, and you're still fucking having pretenses on me. Excuse me. Ladies and gents, Disneyland out. Delft 221.